Yeah, I know you guys are probably getting kind of bored with all of my Street Fighter reviews, but I just love the series. I really do. However, there was one version of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo that I avoided for the longest time, and it's the Game Boy Advance one. Mostly because of the sacrifices that needed to be made in order to fit this game into Nintendo's 32-bit portable. But after playing Alpha 3, I thought to myself, that game came out pretty good. Why not give Super Turbo Revival a chance? So here we are. This is my review of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival for the Game Boy Advance. Right off the bat, gameplay feels good. Timing and flow is pretty accurate to that of the CPS2, and even the glitches like Chun-Li's special charge super remain. Unfortunately, there is more slowdown than usual. However, that's only in a couple of stages and doesn't appear all that often. All in all though, if you're a longtime ST player, you'll feel right at home here. Sadly, what didn't make it in was the old style characters. These old school alternate versions of our favorite fighters offered a unique challenge while playing, but also they had different attributes to both normals and specials. Fans of the original will definitely miss playing as these OG fighters, though this is a portable, so I doubt anyone from the FGC is taking this version of the game very seriously. What makes up for it though is the variety of content Turbo Revival has to offer. There are a series of survival modes, each with different opponents and challenges, such as trying to destroy the barrels in the bonus stage, or fighting 100 random fighters, all while trying to maintain your life meter. If that's not your thing though, there's also time attack modes to really test yourself and see how fast you can defeat the 4 Shadowloo bosses, or really challenge yourself and take on the entire cast, bosses and all. Actually performing moves and combos is quite simple. Granted, the missing 2 buttons is a hindrance for longtime players, but once you find a setup that's right for you, throwing Hadoukens and flash kicking will feel as natural as they did on the Super Nintendo. Though I gotta be honest guys, I did cheat a little bit and use the fight stick for most of my footage, and well, that actually worked better for me. But while I did use my Game Boy Advance SP, I did it for quite a while before switching over to my GameCube, and I gotta say, Capcom definitely kept the handheld in mind while tweaking the controls. Many of the sprite assets were taken directly from the Super Nintendo version of Super Street Fighter 2, which is understandable considering that putting the actual arcade CPS2 sprites would have filled up the entire screen. Though some of the new attack animations introduced in ST look a little out of place since they were initially meant for the CPS2 sprites. Still, despite where the assets came from, the fighters here look pretty good on the Game Boy Advance screen. The only criticism I have would be that the colors are a tad too bright. This was something that was all too common in early Game Boy Advance titles. backgrounds for many of the characters have actually changed. Borrowing stages from the Alpha series, Third Strike, as well as making up new stages exclusive to this port of the game, it makes Turbo Revival feel like a fresh experience. The details and color really show what the Game Boy Advance is capable of, leaning into that Advance's higher color palette. Now, we know that music hasn't been the Game Boy Advance's strong suit. It's common knowledge by now. And although these classic tunes aren't the same quality as they sounded on the SNES, they did a pretty exceptional job. The complexity of these tracks are equal to their 16-bit counterparts, so every instrumentation made it in. Anyone that's played Street Fighter for a long time would be satisfied with how these tracks came out. Voices are about as clear as they were on the SNES. However, the real treat is the sound effects. They are now sampled from the arcade. This was something that always bothered me with the Super Nintendo version of the game. They kind of made up these new sound effects that make the experience feel a little less authentic. By hearing the punches and kicks from the CPS2, albeit at a lower quality, really does make this version of the game feel like I have the arcade in the palm of my hands. I'm probably nitpicking here, but I'm a little mixed on the presentation. I love Shinya Daki's artwork, the new character portraits, the wind portraits, the ending. I just like it all. It makes this feel like a new experience. However, I do miss the intro that was in the original ST, with Ryu getting ready to charge up and Akuma flashes in and out. That kind of shows that you're about to embark in a grand fight, like in a grand adventure somehow. And having it replace what's essentially a slideshow does hinder the experience a little bit. But besides that, I think it's just fine. It's just me nitpicking. And there you have it, guys. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo for the Game Boy Advance. I like this port of the game. And anyone that likes Street Fighter, especially ST, will definitely get a kick out of this version of the game. However, there's one thing I gotta point out, and because of it, it holds it back quite a bit. And that would be the Akuma glitch. Just imagine getting the perfects, getting the super finishers in, and not losing a round. You do all that in hopes of fighting Akuma, only for the game to glitch up at the end there, and then that's it, game over, nothing more. And that really, that part of the experience, that challenge that was given to players back in the day, should have been included here. It was included in the Japanese version of the game, but not here. And because of that, I gotta hold it back some. That's why I give it a B and not an A. You could fix it though. There is a patch out there in romhacks.net. I'll leave a link down in the description to see where you can find it. But in order to use that hatch, you gotta find a way to rip the ROM, get an easy flash, patch it, and then pop into your Game Boy, and then you could play the game that was the way it was intended. But you shouldn't have to do that. It should already be available here, and they don't have it available here, and that's why it gets a B and not an A. I'm repeating myself, but yeah, now you know. Everything else is fine. I like the time trials. I like the survival mode. The arcade mode is great. The training mode is excellent. The gameplay is there. The link cable support is awesome. Me and my wife are playing. We're having lots of fun. And because of that, I still believe this port is an excellent port, and I definitely recommend it to Street Fighter fans. You could find a loose cartridge like this for around $15-20, and a complete in-box version for around $30 to $40. Don't quite remember. I think I saw it like that at a mom and pop store not that long ago. Anyway, this was Knockout 21. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Like always, have a good one. Take care, guys.